you that makes you want to keep pursuing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we all reach that point. Like, I'm sure the lifeguard and the Fosters was that for you. I remember you told me a story a while back about right before you landed the Fosters and the lifeguard, you were thinking about going back to college and getting a degree. Do you mind sharing that a little bit?
Yeah. It was a weird time because, age-wise, I was newly 18. And, I was right there. I'd finished, obviously, I'd graduated high school, which I had to graduate high school in a weird way. I had to finish online because I was already in LA, but I was still connected to Atlanta in a weird way. So there was weird stuff going on. So I graduated high school and I had worked a little bit, and so I felt like I was straddling. And but yeah, like age-wise, I was coming up to time to go to college, in some way, whatever that meant. And so what are you going to do, and I had people pressuring me. I mean, I even pressure, and when I say pressure, I don't mean bad pressure. I just mean the air of that time felt like I had to make a decision, essentially. And I felt like I had people who cared about me, who didn't want me to be out in the cold. And I felt like more and more of them were kind of leaning towards me going to school, because they didn't want me to, like I said, they didn't want me to be out in the cold with no real plan in place. And so I kind of just I floated on that, and before I was really, really stressed. I was really it very much felt like a fork in the road for me. And it was one of those moments too, man, where like I really had to like choose to believe in like what I loved. And I did have this very, very underdeveloped idea of going to Pasadena Community College for screenwriting. And that was potentially going to be my move. But like I said, it was very underdeveloped because at that time I was so all in with acting, really, really all in with acting at that point. And so it was just really tough to see me going to school. Like that was really what it was. Like I couldn't see it in my mind. And I just kept auditioning, and I was in LA, and I got this audition for the lifeguard, which was this little indie. Ended up going to Sundance in 2013. And that was an example of an audition. I went in, I think I got there late. Like I didn't want to go. I think I was stressing about the school stuff. I don't remember exactly, but I remember the audition process with that was kind of weird. And then I booked it, and found myself, I traveled for that job. That was in the summer of 2012. And after that job, I got back from, so that job kind of, I was gone for a month. And so while I did that, I kind of mentally put the whole school thing away for a little bit. Like I just wasn't really worrying about that. I was just focusing on the job. So I was out there for the summer, and then I come back to LA, and now it's approaching fall. And I think it's like I have to decide by like next year or something like that. So I have like the rest of the year or something to decide. And yeah, man, I got the audition for a pilot called The Fosters in the fall of that year, and then we shot the pilot the end of 2012. Like I think we were shooting it in November or something of 2012, and it was still just a pilot back then. And this was still where that mattered, where we didn't have for sure if we were going to go for like a whole season yet. That wasn't how it worked yet. So we just shot the pilot, and then shortly, I think literally by January of the following years, literally like right after New Year's, so it wasn't even any time for me to like do anything. I knew that we were going to go back, that the Fosters had gotten picked up by ABC Family at the time, which then became Freeform. And that was it, man. So it was really like, I think when I look back at that time, it was sort of a time where I stuck to my guns in terms of my bliss, in terms of my passions, in terms of my dreams. And also I had invested a lot of time in that. And I felt like it wasn't my time to go down this other route with school and stuff. I had other things to do, and I can't tell you that I knew that consciously, but I knew that somehow unconsciously. And then my answers came like pretty shortly after that. My answers came, and then I was doing the Fosters for the next 5 years. So that's kind of how that went. And it taught me a lot, man. Like it taught me a lot about kind of, I guess, conviction in the sense of what do you really want to do,
Mhm.
and how far are you willing to go to make that happen, even if you're got to be in a hot seat or like face those forks, in the
Yeah.
road. Um, and all this time later, I'm really happy that I made that decision and I went that route, because I just know without a doubt now, I'm 30 now, um, that I'm meant for this industry, that I'm
Yeah.
meant to, but I belong in this industry, whether it's acting or some other way, but I belong in this industry. So